This has Canucks fans very concerned as Jim Rutherford drops a huge update on the Quinn Hughes contract concerns that are on everyone's minds leading into this season. And Adam Foote drops a heavy bar while addressing the team's identity for this upcoming season. We're going to break down all that in this episode of Canucks Digest. But first, if you're part of the 57% of viewers who aren't yet subscribed yet and you want to stay up to date on all things Canucks, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any of the updates as they drop. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is Quinn Concerns. So Jim Rutherford, Patrik Allvin, and Adam Foote had a joint press conference earlier today. It was a very lengthy one and lots in there to dive into. So expect a lot of videos coming in the next couple of days or tomorrow as well because of that. But the first thing that we're going to dive into here is what Jim Rutherford said about Quinn Hughes, saying that obviously Quinn's future is so important to this franchise in this city. Everybody's aware of it. Everybody will talk about it till we get dizzy. But at the end of the day, he doesn't have it to make a decision yet. We still have another year or two left on that contract before he has to become a UFA and maybe take his business elsewhere. And it's always important to win, especially in this situation. But he could go somewhere non-related to what the team does, or you just have to go all in and improve the team, which he feels like they've done for this season. I feel like a lot of things that are in place now, from the coaching staff to the players, if you look at the team today compared to where we were a year ago, a lot of things have improved. So this is a big thing right off the bat for Jim Rutherford, where it took a bit about midway through the press conference for him to dive into this, but this was a big topic that everyone was worried that, or was concerned about heading into this season and what he was going to say to address it. There were some other things that he said that were addressing it on him playing with his brothers that we're going to jump into in a second as well. But with all this as well, with the Quinn Hughes stuff, this is a huge contract. This is probably the biggest contract in Canucks team history because you have a generational talent like Quinn Hughes. So you want to make sure that you do this right. And Jim isn't saying any lies here. Was he saying things that maybe a president of operations wouldn't necessarily say? Possibly. But he wasn't saying anything wrong. With all of this being said, he was maybe not saying the right things, but he wasn't saying untrue things, because at the end of the day, Quinn Hughes is the one who decides all of this. Quinn Hughes is the one that decides the offer. If it's not good enough, he gets to go to his agent, all the things like that with the negotiations. But at the end of the day, it might not even matter what the team does. It could be just a matter of him wanting to be somewhere different geographically, somewhere where he wants to play with his brothers, maybe somewhere he wants to be on maybe a better contender, who knows. But with all this, Jim Rutherford can only do what he can do in his control. Patrik Allvin can only do what's in his control. And at the end of the day, it's up to Quinn Hughes to make his decision based on what Jim, Patrik, and Adam Foote have put in these pieces around Quinn Hughes, because this team revolves around him. Even though he's not the highest paid player on the team, he is definitely the most important one. Is he the most clutch? Brock Boeser still has that title, but he's definitely the most important. So it's a big thing here for Quinn Hughes. Obviously, everyone is going to be paying attention to this throughout the entire season, whether there's even a single conversation or even Quinn Hughes' agent goes into the building. I guarantee there's going to be reports on it and everyone's going to run wild with what's going on. They're going to be like saying, oh, there's a contract coming now. There's a contract coming now. But at the end of the day, we're not going to know until that ink is finally signed on the dotted line. But it didn't stop there, where he gets into talking about Quinn going to play with his brothers, saying that there's been everyone's been talking about it, but it doesn't mean it has to happen 2 years from now or 1 year from now. It could be at the end of their careers, just to say they played with each other. You can spin this thing 100 different ways, and there's only one guy to make that decision. So just reiterating that all of this ends at Quinn Hughes and his decision, whether it's wanting to play with his brothers sooner rather than later. Obviously, the brothers want to play together. We've been talking about that at length. It's been in the news so much with the Canucks, and Jim Rutherford saying that he wasn't saying anything that wasn't a secret. This has been something that's been talked about ever since these guys started becoming prospects, where they were like, okay, let's see all these guys play on the same team. It initially started with just Jack and Quinn, and then when Luke came into the league and was starting to emerge as a prospect, that's when the idea came of having all three brothers on the same team. But Jim's also right here, where it could be something that happens later on in his career, where we don't necessarily have to see Quinn Hughes play with his brothers right away. And maybe they do come here later on. Who knows? But that's all kind of just hypotheticals that remain to be seen. But at the end of the day, Jim is just going to say what he feels on his mind. Maybe it's not always the right thing someone should say, but he very rarely doesn't speak things that are untrue. He's very often just hitting the nail on the head, delivering it in a very unorthodox way. But what did you guys think about the press conference, or specifically about the Quinn Hughes stuff? And do you think a contract will be extended this season before it gets into the next offseason? Let us know down in the comments below. But that's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is Foote's identity, which is Adam Foote's Vancouver Canucks and their identity for this season. Was something that came up twice in the press conference, and Adam Foote tackled it beautifully with an absolute bar, which we're going to jump into here. He says, I can't sit here and say we're going to be a rush team or a dump and chase team. Taking a shot at Rick Tocchet maybe. We're going to be a team that adapts to our opponents, make them feel uncomfortable. We're going to play consistent hockey. A team that adapts to their opponents. That is what you want as an identity for a team, where you're not just settled on being one style of hockey and just kind of leaning towards other styles as the games kind of go on and it's situational. No. It's all situational. You prepare for all situations, and then when you get in those games, that's when you really assess, okay, we prep for this situation, this situation, this situation. They're hitting us with situation B, let's say. Okay, let's switch it up. We know how to address that. Okay, they're switching it up to situation C that we planned for. Now we know how to game plan for it rather than preparing a certain way and kind of having to adapt on the fly. You want to make sure that preparation is already taken care of beforehand so that if you have to throw a monkey wrench in there, these guys know how to keep this machine well-oiled and running. And as well as the leadership group being a big part of that. And he said getting the leadership together, the first thing I wanted to take care of was getting Petey, Demko, and Hughes together. He talked about a trip that he took down to over to Michigan where Quinn Hughes was. Thatcher Demko lives there after just having a baby. Petey flew in and they had a golf trip, and they talked about the leadership group, what they want this team to be, how they want to carry themselves throughout the year, and what all of their goals are individually and as a whole entire unit. And like Foote was saying in the press conference, it's a contract that he has with these guys in a sense where it's a contract to the team. It's all about making the team better. Talking about Petey and his commitment, flying in there on short notice, making sure that he was there for the leadership group meeting. Having these three guys there together, absolutely awesome to see what it's going to, hopefully it just reflects greatly on this upcoming season for the Canucks, because they absolutely need a bounce back season. But what did you guys think on Adam Foote's comments on the leadership group situation, as well as what his team's identity is going to be this season? And what do you guys think the team's identity is going to be this season? Do you guys think it's going to be just more of the same dump and chase hockey? I definitely don't think so. I think we're going to see a little bit of that, but I think only in games where we have a massive lead. Hopefully the goals come a lot easier, because we can't play dump and chase hockey if we played the style that we played last season, where we played a lot of close games and a lot of low scoring games at that. So Vancouver's got to work on that and not playing dump and chase hockey too much when you have a big lead, because we saw them choke a lot of those leads as well. So let's see an aggressive team here. Like he was saying with Evander Kane, bringing him in, getting some grit and some sandpaper in there to go with Kiefer Sherwood. That's going to be something that this team didn't have last year. So more big body enforcers. I know Dakota Joshua was that the season before, but health issues and a down year kind of set him back that way, and we did move on from him. But you bring in Evander Kane, Kiefer Sherwood, those are guys that can ruffle some feathers. Tyler Myers, Quinn Hughes, Thatcher Demko, Elias Pettersson, the Brock Boeser, the leadership group is still mostly there, and a lot of good goaltending in between the pipes as well with Kevin Lankinen and Thatcher Demko. So already this team is very different from last season, and on paper it looks like it's going to have a very new identity, not just because Adam Foote is the coach, but because of the players that they have and the styles of play that they bring to this Vancouver Canucks team. So it's going to be a very exciting season, and you guys won't want to miss a single update that we bring. So stay tuned for all of that. Hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any of the episodes when they drop. But for now, I've been your host, Griffen. Take care.